Hey lovelies, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. I'm going to try something totally different this week. We're just going to go through each sign and do them sort of quick, if I can do that, quickly for the week so that we can get something for this week. This week absolutely kicked my butt and I was not able to do many things other than just recover from several different events this week. So we're gonna try this then instead. Change of plans. All right, these are already shuffled for now, so we're gonna cut. I've never done it like this before, so we're just gonna start and see what happens. For Aries, past, present, future. Past, we have 3 of emotions. We're hanging out with friends. We maybe have been to a party, been to a gathering. We've shared hopes, fears, joys, concerns. Some people, everyone's just at kind of different places in their lives. Some people don't have a lot to give. They're fairly taxed. Their energy was at a trickle. Other people had like very fulfilling situations. But 3 of emotions, it's friends. So in the recent past, you've been dealing with some friendships and growing closer to people, experiencing those human connections. In the current situation, we have 4 of inspiration. This is leveling up. We've got a great foundation and we're heading to the next level. It's our 1111 card, our engagement card. This is when we've been through something and now we're ready to sort of commit to a new level. So maybe you were friends with someone and you're moving up to the next level, or it could be your friends and then somehow these friendship connections are bringing you to another level. This is a commitment to future progress. This is not a promise as well as humans can promise, right? Because we can't always complete our promises. Things change. But this is sort of looking towards the future. The past looks like it's been good. We're hitting a plateau milestone here, and we're starting to plan for the future. And then in our future, we have Knight of Materials. So in this deck, Knight of Materials has some movement. Some decks, Knight of Materials is not moving at all. Knights, of course, are communication, information and communication coming towards you, but very slowly. And also there's a slow methodical planning out. So this Knight could be someone coming to you with some communication that they've thought about for a very long time and really thought about the ramifications. They may have put it through a filter or some sort of spreadsheet or figuring out, and if I say this, they might do this. So this could be very well thought out communication. Man, I love this reading. This is like friendship, leveling up, nice, solid, well thought out communication. Maybe took a very long time to get to you. They wanted to dot their I's and cross their T's and figure out everything. This Knight of Materials could also be you moving forward with something, but in a very thoughtful, well planned out way, taking into account all sorts of other eventualities. And we're going to hit these puppies for, actually I'm just going to cut the deck, take off the top. We're going to hit these for some advice. You've got Dear Spirit, bring a gentle touch. So this is the advice for you this week. Aries, bring a gentle touch. All right, so I'm going to check that off because I don't want to get too lost here. Let's move on to Taurus. I'll do a little shuffle here. Taurus, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape. Oh, that's disappointing and frustrating. We did get a reversal here. So, all right, Taurus. In your recent past, we have Ace of Emotions reversed. Maybe you were expecting a new beginning, you were expecting a new relationship, a new situation to unfold here, but instead we've got it in reverse. So we've got maybe not feeling like starting anything new or cutting yourself off from your emotions and your feelings, not wanting to engage with all that's under the surface. This would be, in the upright, we have something coming up from the surface and emerging onto the surface here, and something that maybe was brewing in your subconscious a while, suddenly you're finding some awareness here of how you really feel about a situation. But this is this is either you've stuffed some feelings down about something, did not engage with them, did not want them to disrupt your current life, did not want these things to surface. So you've been stuffing your feelings down here. You don't want to look at them. Or, or we could be talking about, that's what the other way I was going to go with that. I was like, nope, I don't think so. So some sort of repression, some sort of repression here. You've repressed something. There's some sort of feeling, some sort of emotion. It could be having some unintended consequences on your psyche, especially when we repress and subliminate things and not allow those feelings to flow through. You maybe have been in denial about something that you feel because it would be pretty disruptive to your situation, but you've been in a process of tamping down on some sort of feeling here that wanted to come out. A refusal to engage with genuine feeling here. In your current situation, we have 8 of materials. This is hard work. You're focused on work right now. So maybe you knew you had some feelings come up and you're like, oh, I can't deal with that right now. I got a lot of work to do right now. So this could also be doing some psychological work, but I prefer 8 of materials as actually just focusing on your work right now, on your actual work, what you need to get done in your life in order to survive, in order to maintain. And so this is just a current focus is on actual work. You may be aware that this is sitting in the off on the sidelines here and that you're going to have to deal with that at some point, but there's a lot of work going on right here and that's your main focus right now. Some of this work actually may pertain to some repressed feelings somehow. I see that like even while you're engaged in your work, you still have one eye over on this emotional situation. You may be wondering when it's going to bubble up and disrupt things, what's going to happen next with it. You may be a little worried and concerned, or it could be affecting your work environment right now, some sort of repressed emotion that is affecting how you're approaching your work possibly, or it's just grabbing your attention and your focus. You're trying to focus on work, but there is this emotional thing that you maybe had to table for a while, and it could be causing some distraction right now. You could be looking at it right now and realizing you're going to have to deal with that at some point. Your possible outcome here, or your past, present, future, possible outcome, page of inspiration. This could be someone coming to you, a student, a student of creativity, a student, or you becoming a student. The pages are student, and inspiration can be about creativity, sexuality, intuition, maybe someone teaching you, or you're being the teacher, and spirituality in your belief system. Maybe you start trying to dig a little deeper into, I want to say, Buddhism, or maybe even tarot or Wiccan, or even a creative process. So the page is going to be a student. This is either a student coming into your life for you to mentor, or you becoming a student yourself, or starting to learn something. And this could be a spiritual journey, creative journey, something like that, where you start to learn. So maybe you repress something and you've been hard at work, but this process here, especially I'm thinking of Buddhism or meditation or something like that you might be headed towards, or in your future some sort of acolyte of some sort of religious process, or a mentorship process. And it could be extremely helpful in allowing this to revert and become upright. So an artwork, expressing yourself through artwork is a really wonderful way to meet those subconscious issues halfway, because the art has a very intuitive process to it, and so that can help things come up that maybe you don't want to deal with directly. I'm just going to cut the deck. Our advice for the week ahead: squirrel spirit. Believe in yourself. So these are little, I kind of think of them as mantras or advice or something to keep in mind as you're going forward with your week. Believe in yourself. All right, Taurus. Okay, and then I hope I didn't screw up my deck already with a bunch of reversals here. Nope, just that one. All right, Gemini. Gemini, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape. No, your past, your present, your future. Did I get that right last time? Past, present, future. In the past, we have the Chariot. So this can deal with transportation. Obviously, this is our car of the deck, our motor vehicle of the deck. But this can also deal with just any kind of movement, a trip. You may have already been on a trip. You may have, you may have gone on a trip in the past. This may have been like a lot of positive forward movement, a lot of progress, a lot of power here. She's channeling a lot of power, and I don't mean channeling necessarily, but there's been like a powerful force sweeping you forward, moving you forward, pulling you forward, a lot of horsepower here. So this could deal with transportation, a trip, a travel, something. You've been going somewhere though, you've been moving. And things have been moving forward quite forcefully, quite strongly, with a lot of power between them. In your current situation, you have the Devil card. So this is, well, it could be Capricorn energy here, but this could also be these addictions, these things, we can be addicted to substances, we can be addicted to acquisition, we can be addicted to feelings, we can be addicted to thought processes. So there's something here, and that addiction actually has a bit of it can trap us in places, right? We're not able to really we're not really able to flow with our own feelings, with our own intentions, with our own intuition very well, because we're always coming back. It's like a tether. It's like a bungee cord, and we're always coming back to this thing, to the same place, to over and over and over again. It's like we can never get free of this thought process, or get free of this idea, or get free of something. So maybe you took a running leap away from something, but this bungee cord has brought you right back. So there could be spiritual processes involved, I guess, in this. But there's a certain sense in which you don't feel completely in control of your own destiny. Maybe you tried to get away from something and you've been pulled back. And so this Devil card about addictions, about need, about a lack of freedom in your life. This can also be, speaking of lack of freedom, we can also be talking about a contract. You could be looking at a contract right now. Maybe you took something for a test drive, a person, a job, took something for a test drive, and now you're talking about a contract, right? Because once we enter into a contract, we give up our freedom. Hopefully we get something in return, something valuable that's worth that loss of freedom, that's worth decision and our future decisions being taken away from us. Contracts can be, anything from marriage contract to a car loan or something like that. You're committing to pay for something, or pay the price for not paying for it. So you might be looking at contracts this week. It's a normal part of our modern day life. It's a more normal promises, contracts, all of that, normal part of human interaction. But it is a willingness to give up our freedoms for some sort of committed thing. And possible outcome here, future, 4 of materials. We have some sort of an obsessive vibe. It's like a time out from regular life. It could be a honeymoon period. It could be, I see sometimes like when you have a newborn and that laying in period to really get to know the newborn, to really connect with them. And there's just like a time out here. This can also be obsession with something so small. Like we also see in this Devil card, this addiction, it can also be obsession with something. And this 4 of materials is obsession with something, accepting something so small and so insignificant. It's not really worth your obsession. She's got 4 roses here. This is not a dozen roses. This is not a room full of roses. This is not This is 4 roses. And so it's fine to love 4 roses and to really be into them. We want to be able to give into that, I want to say the momentum of love and appreciation and appreciating our 4 roses, but she's way beyond appreciating here, and she's obsessing over her 4 roses. There's so much more out there. There's like this huge rose up here, but she doesn't see it. There's a whole world of roses behind her. She doesn't see it. She's obsessed with just these 4. So there's a time and place for that, right? We want to be obsessed with our baby, or taking some time to build a marriage during and make that connection very strong during a honeymoon period, or we might need to obsess over our studies for a while as we approach our finals segment. But going on too long, if you don't deal with this devil energy, you're going to be like stuck in obsessed with a small life, or a small, I mean, that's a really grand way of saying a 3-card spread, but obsessed with something that's not all that. It's not all that. So it looks like there's been a lot of momentum bringing you into some sort of contract. And then we've got a period of time of obsession. This can either be super healthy, or this can also be self-destructive, blinding yourself to that there's so much more, accepting something that's less than and clinging to it, which sitting next to this devil card, that's what I'm seeing, is something becoming very obsessed with something that's just small potatoes. It's not all that. This is like being super obsessed with like your house and not wanting to ever leave it, so you never take a better job, you don't leave your marriage or whatever, because you're so obsessed with this house. And then years later you go back and look at your house and you'd be like, that I sacrificed a lot for that tiny little really normal looking house. My goodness. So that could be a little bit of what we're talking about with this devil energy. You may be tempted to sign a contract that's for less than what you deserve, or you could be like, I could also see this as like having a child or something, because the contract with the child is a lifetime contract. I mean, of varying degrees of labor. But it is a lifetime contract. And then we have this 4 of materials, so it could be an obsession time, which is fine. That obsession is fine. I approve of that obsession. All right, and your advice for the week going forward, Gemini, is mouse spirit, tend to the small things. So that's really interesting, because we do have small things, and this is saying tend to the small things. So maybe it is a good thing, and maybe this contract is fine. Is a lot of momentum bringing you into a contract, a commitment, and then tend to those small things and take care of that. So that's sort of your mantra for the week, and a nice focus for you, and the advice from the decks. All right, Gemini, I'm gonna check you off here so I don't get too lost. Now we will go to Cancer. Get a little lost sometimes on this deck, because everything is sort of reversed. So, I mean, half the cards are upside down. I don't know. It's a little confusing sometimes, but. All right, Cancer, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape. Okay, held the deck wrong. Okay, in your recent past, we have 4 voices. This is a timeout, time for recuperation, returning to ourself, a pause in the momentum, and that's always cool. I mean, I hated those as a child, but the pause in the momentum is a way to recalibrate who you are and the situation, and pause some sort of momentum so that you can go forward in more of who you are today, not necessarily who you were 4 years ago. So we have 4 voices here: a time out, a time of rejuvenation, a time of a rest time, nap time, a break from something. So you've been on a bit of a break from something. Current situation, we have Queen of Materials. We have dreaming about your career, thinking about career moves, thinking about what you'd like to do, thinking about this is your next steps in your career. But here she is. Here's her movie poster. this lady's career, this queen, and queens are male or female. This queen is looking at her career, looking at her future, wanting to figure out her next steps. How do I get from where I am today to being on this movie poster here? At least that's what the book for this deck talks about. But it is a strong focus on your career and where you want to go next. What's your next move here? What's the next step? And dreaming big. And I also see Queen of Materials has a very practical element to this. Like we're making practical steps towards our next move and our next where we want to go next here with usually with our jobs. Could be something else, could be something else physical, but I almost always see Queen of Materials as someone who's very focused on what they want next in their job, what they want next in their career. Possible outcome here, future, is Queen of Voices. So this is another queen. This is male or female, someone who's inwardly focused. This is communication. This is someone who's very focused on what they think, and they're going to communicate it very clearly. They're not going to pussyfoot around or couch it in silly terms, or not silly terms, but they're not going to try to like gentle you into something. They're just going to say their mind. So this could be you, although I'm already talking about it as if it's somebody else that's coming into your life that's going to share ideas with you, and they're going to share them very directly. So if you're thinking of your next step, this could be someone you're talking to that's just a straight shooter. They're very sharp, they're very smart, and they're very interested. They're just very aware of how they see things, and they're going to give you possibly some feedback on what they think about your career path, or what they think your next steps should be. Or this could be a teacher or someone like that they just know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about, and they're looking at where you want to go, and they're going to be really direct, and I feel very helpful. That's what I'm seeing today with this card. This card has a bit of a darker connotation, but I don't think so. I think the words may come out very strong. This reminds me of the teacher that's like really strict, but the intention is to help you, to teach you, to share with you useful information. That's the intention. That's what they want, and they're going to be very helpful for you. But just take care not to take it wrong, or to take it personally, or something like that, because they know what they're talking about. So they may not even realize that they might come across a little harshly. They just know what they're talking about, that's all. So, and this could be you just very clearly communicating your intentions of what you want and where you want to go, without really, I don't know, but you've had this time to reconfigure things. You've had a time out to kind of reconfigure things. Maybe you got laid off, maybe COVID had you at home. But now you're restarting with a renewed purpose, and okay, now you see what the next steps are. You took a break, you didn't know what you wanted for a while. Now you know exactly what you want, and you're either going to communicate that, or someone's going to come in and communicate and give you some feedback on what's going on here. All right, and advice or a mantra, we'll see what we get. Squirrel spirit, believe in yourself. I think, did Taurus? No, really? How did that happen? Anyway, believe in yourself. I love this. A squirrel squirreling away the future, planning for the future. We see he's collecting nuts, planning for the future. Believe in yourself. Believe that you're going to get there. I like it. This is definitely really cool with this card right here, this believe in yourself. And that's definitely what she's doing. She's believing in herself and planning the next steps, planning for the future here, with a lot of faith in her ability to get there. All right. Leo. Leo, this is your past, present, future. In your past, you have Page of Voices, a student vibe, learning. You've been to school, you've learned something. Maybe you got a new job and had to read a handbook or something like that. This is very much about like reading and gaining actual information about something. This is the written test, not the driving test, but the written test. So Leo, you've been through some sort of intellectual growth. This can also be communication. This can be communication, not quite sure how to communicate, some nervousness, wanting to communicate something, but wanting to come off as smart, wanting to be perceived a certain way as you communicate, wanting people to listen to you, but maybe not necessarily knowing really well how to do something, because our page is our student. We're fumbling around. We're the clumsy lovers. We're the trying to learn something, trying to figure it out, trying to understand something. No, you wouldn't be a clumsy lover. You'd be like reading about the technicals of lovemaking if you were doing that, if that's, yeah. So the Knight might be more of a attempt to do something about it. So we have Page of Voices, so trying to learn something, trying to figure something out, trying to move through the world in a way that makes sense to you, but you're still trying to absorb something. Your mind maybe has been sort of a swirl of things, and trying to look smart, be smart. Your current situation, we have 9 of emotions. So we have a lot of dreams, a lot of fulfillment. You accomplish something. You accomplish something in your relationships, or it's more like a relationship with yourself. But you accomplished something and you achieved sort of maybe inner peace or a moment of clarity, or, you know, for a moment you've got your ducks in a row. You're very proud of this accomplishment, very proud of how far you've come in a certain situation. There's almost a lot of like emotional control here. You like have learned about, maybe you read some books about emotional health and well-being, and now you feel like you've really been able to internalize some of that and have achieved something that you really liked. This can also be, you know, wishes coming true, and here you have the trophies of the things that you wanted, and you achieved them and you got them, and you're a little bit on cloud 9, a little bit excited about it, about what you've achieved and what you've accomplished and what wishes having been granted. So this could be a way in which you you had a wish, a plan, an idea, and you achieved it, or it could be something where a little less effort from you. It came in almost magically, almost as if a wish were just granted, rather than you working your ass off for it. Then in the possible outcome, a future, we have Hanged Muse. So we have a situation that's not done, it's just in suspended. It's going to continue on the expected trajectory, the expected arc and trajectory. It will likely continue on, but right now we're just like stopped here. This is the moment, there will be coming a time where the momentum stops on the trajectory, and we're just kind of stuck there for a minute. So things coming to a pause, coming to a halt. The situation's not over, it's just paused. It's just going to pause. This is a moment for you to really think about things, really figure out what you want your next moves to be. This will be definitely time for you to figure some things out and have some insight into a situation. So take the opportunity of paused momentum to engage with rethinking something, figuring out how you got here, figuring out, having some insight, seeking insight while the action is paused. So sometimes in life, those external gears of life all moving and the wheel of fortune can get a little jammed. When the external gears get jammed, that's the time for the internal gears to start. Well, hopefully they're all moving, but if you've got some rusty internal gears and haven't really done a lot of inner thought or haven't really thought about a situation, when it comes to a halt out here, that's your cue to start changing how you see something, exploring other ways of looking at a situation. Definitely we're getting a different perspective here as a situation pauses. So you'll get a new perspective be looking for that. And then we have sort of our mantra, to-do list, advice, or advice column for the week. We accidentally got 2, and I'm just going to roll with that. And then we got 2, actually. It's the number 2. We have Antelope Spirit, life is speeding up. Okay, but we got Hanged Muse. So we got maybe one thing, maybe we're still here, but there's this Hanged Muse energy, which feels very opposite to this Antelope Spirit, life is speeding up. Well, maybe something happens very quickly and then stops very quickly, or maybe it's a pause and then it goes on, or maybe these are 2 possibilities that we're looking at, life speeding up or stopping. Maybe some part will speed up and some other part will slow down, and those gears will shift. Maybe this Hanged Muse is more about seeking insight. So life is speeding up, and then we have, ooh, I like this one, time for beginner mind, Porcupine Spirit, which I see with this Ace of Voices, definitely beginner mind. So time for beginner mind, especially if you end up in this hanged Muse situation, this is right, we have this insight eye here. And this could also be that you're protected in this pause, that there's some sort of divine protection here in this pause. And then we have Porcupine Spirit, time for beginner mind, allowing yourself to not know everything, right? Because this has a sense of I've accomplished, I've achieved, here are my trophies, I have 9 gold medals, and so I know all about this sport or this thing. And then this is like, well, maybe you don't actually, maybe there's something more you can learn, or maybe you don't know something about one part of a situation and you need to have that humility to come in as a student and be like, okay, let's just pretend I don't know anything about this and start asking questions from there. So time for beginner mind, and life is speeding up is the advice. All right. Virgo. Right. So all of these cards are printed like in a confusing manner. And I do not have the world's best spatial intelligence already, so this is not my forte. And I have to remain very conscious as I very aware of how I'm shuffling. Okay. Virgo, this is your past, your present, your future. Okay. Well, we will be accepting reversals today, apparently. Okay, 3 of inspiration. In the past, you've had a lot of faith in something. You've really believed in a situation. You saw where it was going. You felt you knew where this was all going. You felt pretty confident in the outcome. You weren't there. Obviously, you weren't in the future. You were in the present. In the past, you were in the present. You weren't in the future. But you felt like you could see the future, and you felt like there was a lot of predictability to the path that you were on. Just a lot of predictability, seeing where it all goes. You might have really enjoyed that as well. And so this can have a lot of faith, but in this 3 of inspiration in the past, I feel like you were on a path. It seemed very predictable. Oh, what's that quote? I think is it Oscar Wilde, but it's actually, I think it's multiple people. I found multiple people with very similar quotes. If you can see, maybe it was Joseph Campbell. If you can see your future, if you can see exactly if you can see your path exactly, it's probably not your path. So that's, yeah. But you thought you could see something very clearly. Maybe you had a lot of faith in a situation. You were like, yeah, I see where this is going. It needs no assistance. It's going to unfold very naturally in this way. You had faith in, possibly it might have been faith in things that other people didn't get, other people couldn't see. Other people didn't understand, but seemed so obvious to you that this was where this was all going to go. In your current situation, you have Queen of Emotions. Queens are male or female, so it could be you or someone you're dealing with. But this is someone, they do have a lot of feelings under the surface. They break through a little bit, but a lot of times there's someone with a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings, maybe some intuition about those. But it's very rich underneath the surface. Normally our Queen of Emotions or our Queen of Cups shows, well, I don't know about normally, but a lot of my decks have, you know, someone who journals, someone who writes it out, really knows how they feel. So the Queens are very internally focused and they know how they feel about something, but they're not necessarily freely sharing that. But they are very emotional, a lot of deep emotions, that they can see, that they're aware of. Everything may look kind of calm on the surface, kind of easy, calm, and maybe just like someone's just having a fun day at the beach. There's not a lot of communication. There's a little bit of communication, but there's a lot under the surface here. There's a lot that is being seen, is being explored, is being understood in their own feelings and emotions. And if they do communicate, it is going to be straight from the heart. It is going to be directly from their heart. They're not interested. They may be interested in appearing calmer than they are, but they're not interested in displaying everything, but they're also not interested in fully concealing things. It's almost like you need to look into this. You need to ask questions of this person and look beneath the surface of what you're seeing to see sort of the depth of their emotion and their feelings. And this could be you as well, you know, just you might need to ask this person some questions. They'll be willing to reveal things, but they're just not displaying how they feel about a situation. They're not being dishonest, though. It's just below the surface. And then in the future, we have Five of Voices, but it was in reverse. So actually, I really love this reversal. Well, Five of Voices in the reverse is kind of... Five of Voices... If we could eradicate this card from every deck and from our lives and the whole concept, that would be lovely for me as a Libra, to not have to make decisions. These are difficult decisions, difficult choices coming up. Not sure about which path to take. There's misery on every path you take. There's not an easy solution here. There's not. You're going to have to do some deep meditation to figure out how to deal with this, to figure out where you want to go with this, what path you want to take. It's almost like all the paths look the same. There's something you want, but no path seems to lead directly there. And they all seem to lead directly to pain, not to what you want. There's no path towards peace. There's no easy path towards peace here. Whatever peace is in this situation is going to be inner peace. It's definitely a bring your own peace situation because it's a card of difficult choices. And there's none of them lead directly to a peaceful, happy solution. None of them lead to peace. This is a card of just really difficult choices, really difficult decisions that need to be made. And none of them, this is like compromises will have to be made, and no one will be really happy with it. I mean, eventually you'll probably be happy with what you decide. So in the reverse, you might have to choose between yourself and somebody else, what someone else wants, someone else's peace and happiness. You have an obligation to choose your own happiness, but depending on how you generally approach things, it might be time to put someone else's happiness first. But even if you choose your own happiness, nobody else in the situation is going to be tremendously happy. If you choose someone else's happiness, you're not going to be happy. And then eventually they might not be happy if you resent them for that. So it's just a no-win situation, no easy path towards peace. You can't even see the path towards peace right now. Of course, life's always changing, so, yeah, this is a difficult choices. Making sure you're not just winning to win, but you actually want what you're making the sacrifices for. And then a little piece of advice or a mantra possibly. What do we got here? Vulture spirit, nothing is wasted. I love this. I love this. Nothing is wasted. And I love that we have elevated the vulture to like a king or an emperor here. This is very elevated. This is a very noble thing. Nothing is wasted. You didn't waste time. You didn't waste dreams. You didn't. It's like things will be, you know, things will be recycled. Like there's no waste in nature. Everything gets used. We have, in nature, we have things like dung beetles, and we have, you know, all these processes. There's not really non-biodegradable waste out there. It's all going to get used. Every part of everything is going to get used here. The bones are going to get picked clean. So I love this. Nothing is wasted. This is a really, actually, I kind of like that as a mantra. Nothing is wasted. If you feel like you wasted your time, if you feel like you wasted some energy, if you feel like, you know, all of this stuff can be integrated into the next step, into your future. So even though you're looking at some possible decisions ahead where no one's going to be perfectly happy, this isn't like, you know, you got to choose somebody. You got to choose some path forward. None of them lead directly to peace, but nothing is wasted. So even though the decision may be difficult and hard, even just the act of making that decision could at some point be incredibly useful to you, having built the strength, the inner strength you needed to make these tough choices. That strength that you're building, you're working out here emotionally. This is like a tough workout, but you're going to have some emotional chops at the end, and a lot more maturity, a lot more strength, inner strength here. So nothing is wasted, keeping that in mind. If you feel like you wasted your time on something, or there's emotion that couldn't be shared, that doesn't go to waste. Wait, where are we here? Oh my goodness, you guys. All right, we're going to Libra now. My goodness, I hope that I have. We have the star card on the bottom there, which I wasn't really going with, but popped out at me. Wish fulfillment, being in the right place at the right time. I'm seeing that here too. Seven of Inspiration, there's something you have worked incredibly hard to make space for, to defend your right to experience this connection. You've worked hard to keep a connection open, or to keep, and that's not necessarily a connection with a person. That could be a connection with a career, or a connection with a passion project, or something like that. But I mean, you're here by yourself and you are holding this open. Life's coming in, darkness, pressure's coming in, and you have been under pressure, but you've held it open for something that you found inspiring. You've held space for something in your life. You've kept the space open in your life for something you find inspiring, you find exciting, and you want to see birthed into the world. You're opening the birth canal here. You're keeping it open. There's a lot of strain. It has not been easy. It's been difficult to stand your ground and keep this space open, because pressures wanted to close it. And it's almost like you're prying open the elevator doors here. I think San used that imagery on this card, and I've never forgotten it. So you're wanting to open that door and keep that open. So you're either keeping it open, or you've been prying it open and working really hard to make space for what you want and what you believe, no matter what the pressures were around you. Current situation, Chariot. There's a lot of power here. There's a lot of this similar triangular configuration. It's almost like this, all of these pressures you're almost like able to channel them now in your current situation. There's a lot of movement. There could be a trip, there could be a car. The Chariot obviously could be a car, could be a trip too coming in here. There's just a lot of power coming out, a lot of movement, and you're able to really channel it and really like almost like all of this strength here has given you a lot of power in a situation to be able to move forward, to direct the action, be in charge of the action, but also receive that power and then distribute that power into some sort of direction in your life. So things coming together for some forward movement. And then we have possible outcome here. 10 of emotions, success, happiness. I mean, look, this is like the theater troupe on their last night. They did it. They did the whole run. They were very successful. They, you know, it got good reviews. It's very exciting, emotionally satisfying end to something. Very emotionally satisfying end to something. A culmination of a lot of work, a lot of feelings, and just a celebration of a moment of achievement and accomplishment, emotional fulfillment. Very fulfilling moment here. So Libra, my goodness, you've worked very hard. You put a lot of energy and effort into making sure something had its day. And then there's just a lot of movement here, and you get somewhere. You get somewhere very emotionally satisfying. I feel like there should be more here, but it's just like a straight up, you worked hard, even if people thought you were stupid, even if this didn't, and then now you get quite a reward. Fulfilling moment of reward, right? We can chase down fulfillment. I don't think we chased it down. We made space for this fulfilling thing to come in. We could feel it coming towards us. We were making room for it. This is like this star card. This is like the star card trying to get that elevator, and you held the door for it. It took a lot of strength for you to hold the door and keep that channel open and allow that star to come into the elevator. And now here's the doors maybe closed, but you're full of light. That light can't, the light is radiating from your center here. Maybe I feel like this lady's the elevator, and we have like the light shining in the elevator. There's some sort of massive transformation of energy going on there, and then it's just emotionally satisfying. All right, and then we have like our mantra advice for the week. And what do we got here? Moth spirit, surrender now. Is this the surrender to the forward motion? Because this is fighting for something. This is fighting for something. And that's what you've done in the past. You've stood your ground. You've fought for something. You've put a lot of energy and effort into just holding something, being available. The surrender now is really curious to me. Is it surrender to this movement? Allow, you know, it's almost like maybe you've held this open for a long enough time. Allow life to meet you. Allow this energy to come to you. I'm going to pull another one actually, Libra. Beaver spirit, lay a solid foundation, which I think is what you've done here, is lay a solid foundation. So building something, building a structure, building something in your life, but making sure you've got the basics down. So surrender now to transformation, to the flame. I mean, we keep talking about the star card. Don't resist this energy when it comes. Don't resist the motion when it comes. You know, we have the like a moth to a flame. Maybe allow the flame to consume you. Allow the passion to consume you. Fascinating, Libra. I hope that's helpful for you. All right, Scorpio. Scorpio, this is your past. Oh no. Okay. Present, future. All right, so we did get a reversal. I thought it was, my deck's gotten a little confused as we've gone on here. So, okay, in the recent past, we have 10 of materials in reversed. So this is maybe something you put a lot of work into that did not pan out. This can be not having the time or money for something that you want. Something didn't pan out. It was unsupported. Either you didn't have like the mentors you needed, or the people in your life that you needed, or the finances you needed to achieve something, or you just, yeah, it's unsupported. The dream was unsupported and unsupportable. You just didn't have what you needed. You were knocking on not just a locked door, but like a sealed door. It wasn't even a door. It was like a painted on door. And you've been knocking on it for a long time, and there's no actual door there. It's just like a brick wall. So this is unsupported, or maybe not getting what you expected, having expected a reward of some kind, having put work and effort into something and having expected a reward, and it just didn't show up. It was very disappointing. You maybe felt a little jilted, a little, left at the altar for something that, you thought you had an agreement. You thought like you had an agreement, and the other person bailed on it, or the other people bailed on it. It just didn't happen. It just didn't materialize. And it was a big dream. It was a big dream for a lot of success. It did not materialize. Present, you have 6 of emotions. This is recalling happier times, but recalling something that made you happy as a child. And maybe it was a childhood dream of yours that just never came true. Maybe this is like an inheritance you were expecting but didn't get. But there's like a sense here of this looking back on things that used to make you happy. There's finding that happiness within, finding those places within that make you feel like a child. This could be reconnecting with something that made you happy. This can be a coping mechanism, remembering happier times, remembering better things, better people that treated you better, situations that were better for you, recalling those with a lot of fondness. Whether they're completely repeatable, we don't know. But the memory is beautiful. The memory is powerful. And there's a sense of sadness here, maybe missing something, missing someone, missing your old self and who you used to be, and something that made you happy. Maybe an activity that you abandoned that made you happy. Maybe, usually there's friendships here, but in this deck in particular, there's a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion for some who you used to be. Maybe there's some fondness for a trip you went on. But there's reconnecting with something. There's been sort of some drudgery, and just reconnecting with that. There's just a lot of sadness here too, I feel like, in this particular one. She's very sad. I mean, she's, right, we're very sad. We're wistful. Maybe they meant wistful, but I see sad. Wistful, sad, I mean, because this thing you wanted and worked for didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. And maybe you're looking back on what was the original dream? What was the original plan? Why did I even ever start doing this? And this one's really happy, but this is you, right? This is you remembering your past self and that original inspiration and that original excitement, and looking back at why you ever went on this journey to begin with and wanting to reconnect with that. In your future, we have 4 of materials. So this could be, this is an obsession, being very obsessed with something. So being very obsessed with 4 roses when we can have 10, when there's dozens, when there's whole rose gardens, when the whole universe could be a rose. and we're just obsessed with 4. So there could be a sense of really obsessing over something. It wasn't all that, like obsessing over perhaps an old relationship or an old hobby, and then you return to it and you're obsessed with it, but it really isn't all that. There's a much bigger picture, there's a much bigger thing. But in the same vein, this doesn't always have to be negative. This can be somewhat healthy, right? If someone gives you 4 roses, don't be a jerk and ask where the other 6 are. You know, but also don't be like, these 4 roses mean that, you know, this and that, and now I'm completely obsessed. Like, they're 4 roses, so enjoy them, and maybe enjoy them for a time. So this can always be, to me, about the laying in period with babies, with a time of it's appropriate to have these times of obsession, limited times of obsession with, you know, a child or our honeymoon or finals or something that requires a lot of intense focus for a period of time. But this can also, but then if we stay there and we don't move on, we can forget that there are other things, there are bigger things. We had bigger dreams actually, and now we're settling for something that's a lot less. But this could be good, because if your dream was really big, you might actually need to go back to something smaller, starting with something a little bit smaller and a little bit more manageable. So maybe you had this big giant dream, and now you're going back to, well, that didn't work out. What do I want to do now? How do I reconnecting with that original spark that sparked that dream, and just not biting off more than you can chew this time, but keeping it a little, knowing that there's more out there, keeping in mind, I think, that there's more out there, but getting into, you know, a small, okay, well, the 10 of materials didn't work, so maybe the 4. Maybe I scale it back a little bit to the 4. That doesn't mean you never get to the 10. It just means you're gonna like go to the 4 first, and then see what happens after that. But this could be a little bit of a warning. Don't get stuck at the 4 forever, but the 4 for now would be fine. It'd be fine. Maybe you wanted to like get married and have a house and kids, and now you're like with this person, and then now you're like, okay, well, maybe we should just date a while and I should get into that rather than like having this big grand plan. Or maybe we should just be friends for a bit. Because I like it. You know, you might like the person, you might like the situation, but the big grand plan didn't pan out. But scale it back a little bit, because if you still like the person, a scaled back relationship could be fine. I mean, if you still like the idea and the dream, you know, let's say you want to be an actor and you didn't get the big part, the big lead in this huge blockbuster film. Well, okay, so maybe you can, you know, accept a smaller role and get into it, or not just a smaller role, but maybe in a smaller film. Maybe you scale it back a little bit. Because what do you like? Do you like acting, or do you like the big giant thing? If you just like acting, then it's okay to scale that back. You still have it in your life here, just not quite as big as you were expecting. And your advice, oh, I love this. Be open to infinite possibilities. This is a beautiful mantra. This is one of my favorite mantras. Be open to infinite possibilities. Starfish spirit. So this was impossible. Be open to a different possibility, maybe a scaled back version that maybe eventually leads to what you want, but not as directly as you originally hoped. But being open to infinite possibilities. If there's something you love and something you care about, being open to other ways of relating to it that maybe aren't as grandiose as you originally hoped. All right. So Sagittarius is next. Oh, again, I forgot to tell you, check your sun, moon, rising, maybe even Venus with these short ones especially. Go ahead and check some others. I have my work cut out for me today, trying to figure out how to timestamp these. Never done that before. New adventure. All right, Sagittarius, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape. Okay, so my deck got all kind of confused, so a lot of these are reversed, and we're just taking it. In your recent past, you have, did I say inner landscape? Future is what we're looking at. You have the moon card. You have sort of, so this depicts a full moon. I'd be talking about a new moon, not seeing where something's going, not understanding something, not having clarity on your own emotions, on your own motivations, This is not unusual. All of us humans have this. But for whatever reason, the cards want to highlight this, of not having seen something, not having realized your own feelings, having looked away from something, maybe not in denial, but just not wanting to directly approach something, looking away from something being hidden, not revealed, not understood. Just, yeah, something not being understood or clear to you. And it could have been your own feelings, having very confusing emotions, not really understanding where they're coming from, what the point is, just not having seen something very clearly at all. A lot of confusion, a lot being in the darkness, a lot not seen, a lot not understood, a lot of untamed energy. Speaking of untamed energy, we have Temperance in reverse. This is your current situation, your present. Temperance in reverse. Impatience mixed with this like kind of low vibe moon energy, reverse moon energy. Impatience. But the reverse moon, I'm thinking about new moons. This shows a full moon and new moons, and just like the moon with all its phases, and then we have Temperance here also with the moon in its phases here, and it goes through these phases. It has these moments, right? And they're very predictable, and they're very well understood and visible. And if it's a new moon, it can be a beginning where we don't really understand where it's going or what's happening. We can't see it. You can't see the new moon. So they're just unseen emotions, and it's just going to take time. It's got its own pace. It's actually a pretty predictable pace. Something takes time to adjust to, but we have Temperance in reverse. We have a lot of impatience, not being able to adjust to something, and it's possibly because you can't see, you don't have information, you don't have clarity on it, and you're not able to adjust to it. There's a lack of patience. There could be a lack of faith in divine timing, trying to force something and not wait for it to unfold naturally. But there's subconscious issues here that are sort of dominating the situation. So subconscious issues kind of dominating the situation, not well understood emotions. And then there's almost like this sense of like chaos and frustration here, emotional chaos resulting in impatience, wanting to force something to a conclusion, wanting to force something to happen, wanting to make that moon go through those phases much faster, not being able to adjust to something, not getting used to something. Something's off. Something has felt weird for maybe a while, and you don't understand. You don't get it. There's just like this chaotic emotional energy with these first two cards, past and present. A lot of chaotic emotional energy, wanting to hurry up and resolve something that needs time to be resolved, but there's a sense of wanting to hurry up and rush a resolution, rush something. But how can you rush it? Because you're not even seeing half the stuff going on. So why would you want to rush something if there's a bunch of information missing? Like this reminds me of people who just have like chaotic and confusing beginnings to relationships. And rather than slowing down the relationship to actually look at what's going on, to actually ask clear questions and wait for clear answers, this is like, well, let's just get married tomorrow then. There's all these unanswered questions, and it's been total chaos. Maybe some of it's been fun chaos, but then we want to like just draw a conclusion. There's another thing here with this Temperance of wanting to draw a conclusion where there's just this imbalanced, chaotic energy. And we want to draw a conclusion because we're sick of it, because we're tired of the chaos, we're tired of the imbalanced energy, we're tired of not knowing what's going on. So a really easy way to end the chaos and end the confusion is just to decide. Maybe you don't have all the information, but if you just decide now, then at least we're ending the confusion. At least we're ending the chaos, because we just make a decision and decide today that we're just going to or there's a lot of confusion here, a lot of emotional confusion, and you're like, well, they don't love me, we're breaking up, because that's easier for many humans to deal with than continued chaos and confusion of just drawing a conclusion, making a conclusion. And maybe it's time for that. Maybe this temperance is like, usually it's just this impatience and wanting to draw a conclusion, but I can see a point where it would be, I can imagine a possibility for some of you that's where you're at. You're at like, I don't know what's going on. I just have to like stop it, or I just have to end the situation because I don't know what's going on, or I'm tired of it. So I would rather than watch it play out and see what happens next. So a lot of you are at a breaking point where you're done with the confusion and done with the situation, and you just want to quickly make some action here, and rather than watch something play out, watch it play out. And what do you want to do there? It's going to be different for everybody, if that's like this genuinely smart move, or if that's one made out of impatience and an inability to tolerate uncertainty, which is one of the crucial skills in life, is the ability to tolerate uncertainty and watch things play out, watch things be revealed, rather than jump in and fiddle with them and make them. Possible outcome, future awakening, having some sort of realization and understanding. So if you're getting impatient, awakening is coming, a realization, epiphany, coming to change things, change your perspective, change how you see this all, something coming in to create profound change within you, seeing something in a different way. This would be our judgment card. This would be the past coming back with a lot more clarity. With did you like how you behaved there? Did you like how you did this? So if you're, whatever decision you're making about the chaos right now, it will come back with a lot more clarity eventually in the future. But I think this is also an encouragement to let this play out. Possibly the possibility is that you could let this play out, and then more will be revealed. Right here we are in total chaos and confusion, and here's awakening, a lot of clarity on what's gone on, a lot of clarity on the situation, the past, and it transforms you, it changes you. There's right, waking up to facts, seeing things, that full moon coming in here with a lot of light, a lot of clarity, and it's profound, and it changes you, and it changes your perspective. And you maybe see where you went wrong, or understand the situation from a totally different perspective. But yeah, this temperance card, what are you going to do? Just force it, or let it watch and play out? And this, I feel like, is saying that if you let it watch and play out, you're going to get some good insights. You're going to see things in a different way. All right, and then we're going to do a little advice or mantra. We'll see what we get here. Cat spirit. Claim your independence. That's pretty cool. I like that. I don't think I've gotten that one. This deck, I've had it for a couple months, but I don't think I've ever seen this one before. Claim your independence. Yes, the cat, the independent cat. Your unique perspective on things, the unique way you see things, your own divinity, your own right to make decisions. You don't have to watch this play out. You can. Like, I see this temperance with this awakening as like, you don't have to continue waiting. If it might be one of those situations for some of you where you make a decision and you put a stop to the chaos and confusion, and then after that, then you see why you made the decision. Then you see why you had to put a stop to something. But for some of you, putting a stop to something is the weak way out, is because you can't tolerate the chaos. And there's something up ahead, this clearer understanding coming in. So claim your independence, even independence from the reading. Like, make your decision, claiming your independence from something. You might be attached to something that is emotionally draining and emotionally controlling you, and and keeping you in confusion and being independent of that. Right, we're all interconnected, but at the same time, we don't need to be controlled by other things. So claiming your independence. I'm going to draw another one here. Armadillo spirit, set healthy boundaries. Oh, I love these two together. Claim your independence and set healthy boundaries. Guarding yourself. Yeah, not letting this chaos continue, I think. So, protecting yourself and setting healthy boundaries. Awesome. All right, Sagittarius. That was your quick little reading. Okay, Capricorn, let's go. I'm going to shuffle a little bit here. Capricorn. This is your past, your present, your future. Okay. Got these. I can't tell sometimes if I'm, yeah, it's a little confusing here. So they came out reversed, but they all did. So to me, that's like I was holding the deck wrong. So in your recent past, you have 5 of materials, abandonment, to maybe even choosing to abandon a situation. And maybe sometimes you have chosen to leave a situation or leave yourself out or to exclude yourself, and then you end up feeling bad about it. But it was a choice you made. So there's like some sort of like other people having a lot, other people having, I want to say like options or money or something like that. And you left that. The door's wide open. You could go back in if you wanted to, but you don't want to. You're out here alone in the cold, and it feels like it's a decision that you've made. You've got your own music to listen to. You don't need to go to the club. You've got your own little headphones in. You've got your own thing here. You're doing your own thing. But there is a sense where you might feel a little sorry for yourself, even though you made this choice and this decision. And sometimes this decision is good, right? Like leaving a relationship or something doesn't mean you don't feel lonely just because you're the one that chose to leave it. You can still feel lonely sometimes, even though you're choosing not to be in the relationship or with that group of people. You've chosen not to be with that group of people, and you're continuing to choose that, but it's not all fun and games. And there can also be a sense of just not feeling like you have what you need. In your current situation, we have Queen of Emotions. So we have someone here, it could be you, could be somebody else, that just has a lot of feeling under the surface, but they're very aware of their own feelings. They can see very clearly how they feel. A lot of times this card depicts someone who's been journaling, who's really been sorting out their own feelings. The surface may look largely calm. There might be a few messages, a few communications, but somebody here has a lot they're not sharing, a lot under the surface. It's not a secret to them. I think they'll share if you ask. But there's someone here with a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion. It's not abundantly obvious, but it does connect them. It does bind them. It is guiding them. It is. It does pull at them, and it does guide their movements. But they're very emotionally connected to themselves. They have a lot of feelings. Now, some readers will tell you that this is love, but our cup, the ocean, our cup can hold any kind of liquid, from pee to wine. Like you pee in a cup. Like there's a lot of not good things in our cups. So it's not all rosé and champagne in these cups, people. So this is someone who's in touch with their feelings, and they may know what they feel, but they may not be communicating it. I'm going to say it's not going to be all like the sweetest fish in the sea. There's like some puffer fish, and there's some, poisonous things down here and dangerous things down here. But this is someone who is aware of that. They're aware of how they feel. They can see how they feel. They feel a lot of things. They might also be incredibly intuitive. Just because they're not sharing it and just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And really, our business, our emotions are our own unique business. They're our business, right? We don't have to share them with other people if we don't want to. So, but this is someone who is in touch with what's going on below the surface, below their own surface. Possible outcome here, future, 9 of voices, anxiety. This is the nightmare card. We're safe in our bed. We're actually, look, oh my gosh, I love this. We have you, left out of the club here on purpose. This is your choice. You've got your own music. You've got your own thing going on here. You might be a little lonely doing it. You might feel a little impoverished doing it, but everybody else is back here and you're out here. And then here you are, again, all curled up, same little fetal position here, baby sleep. You're safe in your cloud. You're safe in your bed, but you have all these fears coming in. So this is our anxiety card, our nightmare card. There's a lot of fears coming in, even though you might be, you might have chosen this. You might be asleep and you might have chosen this. Chosen to leave yourself out. This, you might have a lot of feelings about this, but you're choosing not to go after something, not to pursue something, not to be part of something. You're choosing to take yourself out of a situation. You feel very strongly about it. And then maybe this is like, you need to be really in touch with your feelings, because if you're not, there's a lot of anxiety, but there could just be a lot of anxiety coming in here, a lot of fears and anxieties that you maybe need to deal with. And maybe you knew that this other thing was a distraction. This party was a distraction, and now you're ready to, go off by yourself and maybe feel a little lonely and maybe feel these feelings, feel all of these feelings, the good, the bad, the cup of pee and the cup of apple juice. They might look the same, but they might be totally different. So some anxiety, and maybe, as you deal with your feelings and emotions, these anxieties are going to come up. Maybe some of the anxieties will be being left out, being alone. And maybe even though you're choosing that, even though you could remedy that, maybe that's still going to be an anxiety and a feeling that you have. I would say with feelings, we deal with them not by suppressing them, not by dispatching them, not by pretending we don't have them, but by, asking them what they want, what they're bringing to us, what we need to understand. Because our fears of your fear of being alone or your fear of being impoverished, they can be very real. It's not unheard of in this life, right? To be lonely or poor. These are very common experiences. So being afraid of that isn't really unrealistic. But just getting in touch with those emotions. So we have someone getting in touch with their emotions and maybe just discovering a lot more anxiety and a lot more fear than they originally thought. All right, and then our mantra, our advice, dear Capricorn. Dolphin spirit, this and that are true. I love it because we have this duality right here of a choice, but also the fear, right? You can still choose to be alone and yet be afraid of being alone. You can still choose to be alone and yet fear loneliness. You can still choose poverty and yet be afraid of poverty. You can still, you made a choice that intentionally took you out of a situation. And that doesn't mean that it's not scary. So I love this dolphin spirit, this and that are true. There might be a little bit of playfulness too that comes in here with the, you chose loneliness and yet you're also afraid of it. This might both be true. That would not be uncommon. So this and that are true. I love that sort of the duality, working with the duality, which I see a lot here, of both choices and fears. And working with that duality. And I love this dolphin that can jump and leap between the two. There's a lot of growth here, a lot of spiritual growth and potential here. And then we have frog spirit, clear out the clutter. This can be emotional clutter. This can also just be like, hey, you might need to clean off your desk. There might be some cluttered areas in your life where it might be time to deal with that. You might find a treasure as you clear out the clutter, both on your desk and or your storage area, or just your emotional clutter. And this is a little bit of what you could be doing right now, is clearing out that emotional clutter, understanding how you feel, and being aware that you can feel totally opposite things at the same time. All right, Capricorn. Hope that was helpful for you. And Aquarius, let us begin. I feel like these are getting a little longer as I go. Okay, Aquarius. This is your past, present, future. Okay, in your recent past, we have a reverse 9 of materials. So we have a fritzing brain here. Oh my gosh, it's our widow Clicquot, it's our entrepreneur, but we have it in the reverse. So maybe you tried to be an entrepreneur and it did not go very well, Aquarius. In the past, you've wanted to be successful, but it has eluded you in a certain field, in a certain area. You wanted to maybe have your own business, be your own boss, and be very successful. That did not pan out. That you may have tried to start a business or an enterprise, and it just didn't go well at some point. Either it never got off the ground, or it was almost there and snatched from you at the last minute. In your current situation, you have reverse 8 of emotions, suppressing a lot of feelings that would want to bubble up to the surface. This could also be depression, actually. So this could be a depression, right? Especially if like you tried to do something, you had big dreams, big plans, they did not pan out, and this is a depression. This is like, why didn't that turn out for me? What is going on? Like, so a reverse 8 of emotions, you can imagine that cup, reverse Ace of Cups. It's not 8, Ace. Reverse Ace of Cups, that cup, it's dumped over, it's drained, it's empty. These are all things you can be feeling, right? We always use these metaphors for our emotions: drained, empty, just bereft, loss of motivation, loss of inspiration, loss of excitement, a path that you wanted, and sort of the cup's been upturned and dumped out. And now there's a lot of emptiness here. There's a lot of sadness and depression. This thing that you wanted and you were really going towards, there's just some sadness and depression here in this reverse Ace of emotions. Earlier in this reading, I saw it in this big, massive reading, I saw it as repressed emotion, but I'm not seeing that at this point. I'm seeing a depression. It could be a repressed emotion. You could be having repressed depression about this 9 of materials not materializing. Possible outcome, future, the world, cosmos. So this can be the end of something, right? It can be the end of the year, the end of a whole process, a whole project, and we've come back to the beginning, to where we started. Well, not exactly where we started, because you can't cross the same river twice. You're different, the river's different, the water's different, the shape of the river's different, everything's different. So we're back where we started again, apparently, but probably not. We've probably grown a lot, learned a lot, changed a lot. So this can also reference, this card can also reference just things way outside of our control here, like just the world really changing and going through its own cycles and its own shifts, and things just really shifting and changing. So I see, a possibility here, your future holding just a very changing world, things really outside of your control, like weather, planets, seasons, all of that. Sometimes politics, like just things happening that are really outside of your control, the larger world around you changing. But this is also the last card in the deck, so it can also be talking about the end of a huge cycle is coming to an end, completing something. You've completed something. This is like your birthday. You've completed one rotation around the sun. You've completed a big cycle. And something coming to an end finally. I feel like you can withstand this. I feel like there might be a sense where you're able to stand in some kind of peace as all of this is happening. As these shifts, huge shifts happening. All right, Aquarius, let's look for our advice or mantra. Squirrel spirit, oh my gosh, this is the third time this has come up in this big whole thing of readings. Believe in yourself. So I love this card. I think this would make a great basis for a mantra. Believe in yourself. I believe in myself. This is, right? He's planning for the future. Putting away things for another season. Preparing for the seasons ahead, right? It's fall time. He's gathering his acorns, his food for the future. He's preparing for his future. Because he believes that he's going to be in the future, that he has a future. And so he's preparing for the future. He's saving for the future. He knows he has a future. And he knows, and he expects to be successful in the future. So believe in yourself. I'm going to go draw another one. Bobcat spirit, life is a mystery. So actually two kind of big cards here. The World Cosmos card and life is a mystery and preparing for the future. All right. Pisces. Last, not least. This is your past, your present, your future. Oh, Pisces. Okay, in your recent past, you have two of inspiration. You saw someplace you wanted to go, but needed to make some calculations as to how to get there. You had something inspiring, something that was exciting to you, something you wanted to do, and you spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make that happen. It's our spreadsheet that it's in the middle of the inspired creative suit here. So this is where, okay, we saw something, we had a vision, we could see something off in the future. Now let's figure out how to get there, some calculations. So in the past, you've been dealing with a little bit of a spreadsheet, trying to figure something out, maybe even not being very intuitive, because it is the card where it takes us out of the intuitive process and puts us in a very practical process. So in your past, you've been very practical about a situation, very practical, very maybe organized, maybe not so organized, but it's been very practical. In your current situation, you have Ace of Materials. You have a new thing on the horizon. This could be a new job. This could be a new house, anything physical in the physical world. It's like the seed is planted. It's like, it looks like one of those location markers on Google Maps where right here, you have something that's here now. Maybe you've been planning for it, you've been trying to figure it out, and here it is. It's in reality now. This thing is here. The moment is here. The moment has arrived. The new beginning, the new job, the new position, the new way of doing something, the new way of making money, the new thing is here. You've done a lot of calculating in the past about this, and here it is. It's arrived. New journey, new beginning here. In either how you spend your time, how you spend your money, or make your money. Very physical, very real. And then, but there's been a lot of planning and a lot of thinking and a lot of figuring it out. Then in your future, we have a reverse Three of Emotions, which I don't like. This is like the end of a friendship. Isolation. Not having friends. Not being able to share some sort of isolation from friends and family, possibly not being able to share your joys and concerns, not having, could this be also not being part of a love triangle, or not being part of something? Because there's 3, and sometimes this means, 2, and then the 3rd wheel here. I mean, that would be the positive way to look at this, but otherwise it's a little depressing. It's a little lonely. It's a little nobody to share it with. Like maybe you have a new beginning, but you don't get to share it with your friends. You don't get to talk about it. You don't get to share your joys or your concerns about the situation. About this beginning, this new real beginning. There's a sense of not being able to share it with anyone. Having to be private about something. Or maybe this, if it's a new job, it takes you away from your friends. Takes you away from your community where you share things. You might have to move for the job. But there's a sense of friendships not being part of this. Relationships not being able to share in the future, not being able to share with your friends. And it could be a sense of like, when we level up, we do sometimes have to leave friendships behind. It could be maybe your friends aren't very supportive of this. It could be maybe your friends turn from being supportive to jealous, or maybe you have that realization that if you're going to do this new thing, you're going to have to let go of some friendships. There could be an end to a friendship coming up, or just maybe a sense of isolation and not being able to share a new thing with your friends. All right, and for our advice or our mantra, we have Pig Spirit, use your mind wisely. I like it. We've got a pig with wings, so pigs can fly, right? And I feel like you have been using your mind very wisely to try to figure something out, try to make a dream come true. So making sure your mind isn't your enemy and it's in service of your feelings, your emotions, your intuition. Definitely highlighting intuition here, spiritual connection, making sure that you're using your mind and your mind isn't using you. That makes sense to me. I hope some of you can understand that. And we're going to draw another one. Dolphin Spirit, this and that are true. I love this. Just because, there is truth in the world, but there's also a sense of everyone's having their perspective. Also the duality. Sometimes when I describe myself even, or other people, myself though, I'll use myself as an example, I can say something about myself like, oh, I'm so this. And then halfway through I'm like, oh, but at times I am also so that. Like both of these are true. We can both be, we can all be a little bit, there's a little bit of duality here. There's a little bit of, like there could be a new beginning that ends a friendship. Our friends, they could still be our friends even though we can't reach out to them at this time. So using your mind wisely, and I think part of that is allowing this and that to be true. All right, Pisces and the whole zodiac, we did it. I hope I can figure out how to do timestamps. This was interesting, a little bit of a rush and a way to sort of do this in a way that was going to work for me this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm open to feedback, I think. Kindly given feedback. Now I can handle your feedback, it's okay. So, I probably won't do this very often, but for now I felt it was the moment for this. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I hope that this was helpful for you.